Okay. So my name is Lyric Evans, and I have been going to EKA for 4 years since I came here as a freshman. And something that I have heard repeatedly each year is that your senior project is your way of leaving your mark on the school. And so when you leave, this is your last chance to add something to a school that is always changing. The second thing that I realized is that EKA does things a lot differently. I could be a normal senior enjoying my last few weeks of doing nothing. Instead, I'm up here. But no, I'm actually really excited to tell you guys all about what my year was completely about and sort of show you how I wanted to go about my senior project a little bit differently. I wanted my project to sort of go two different directions. First of all, because we're such a small school, we have a lot of opportunities to have ideas and actually make them happen. This school is very much what the students make of it, but I am only one of about 756 students. So with my project, what I wanted to do was capture this entire school year and see if I could have every student somehow leave a mark this year. The second focus of my project was to see if I could positively affect both current and future students. I wanted to get students excited and have really a lot of fun this year, but I wanted my actions to have an impact on the students of the future. So in order to meet both of these standards, the Explore Knowledge Academy time capsule was born. As we go on, I'll sort of explain how this met the focuses that I was looking for, but there were a lot of goals needing to be met in order to make this a success. First of all, I needed to build the time capsule. I wanted to have 6th through 12th grade write letters. I wanted K through 5 to draw pictures and also write letters. I wanted to do a fun school-wide survey, and I wanted to take pictures all year long to document the school year. So with the time capsule, I decided that I wanted it to be an above-ground time capsule because I didn't want to run the risk of anything inside being damaged by water coming in or any of the other elements that come with it being underground. So I needed to make it an above ground and make it really nice so that we could display it here at the school. So I was in contact with Zachary Miller. He works with Henderson Steel, but he's also just alone really talented with his hands and really, really creative. So he brainstormed ideas with me and asked me sort of what I was looking for, and he came up with this treasure chest themed time capsule that sort of meets with our Explorer and our Viking ship and now our Sea Dragon, and made it really themed and fun for the school. He did it completely on his own time and free of charge to me, and it came out absolutely gorgeous, and even put it on wheels so that it could be moved. When I actually got the time capsule, it was a really big part of my project because it finally felt like all these little bits and pieces I was working with finally had a home. So me and Miss Mattson talked about it once we got it, and we decided that we were going to keep it sealed for 10 years and have it reopened at the beginning of the 2025-2026 school year. We felt like this was going to be long enough for it to really have a difference made, but not too long that anyone was going to accidentally forget about it. The letters from secondary were essential to my project. The letters I had them write were going to go to future students here at EKA, and they were going to be handed out to students of the same grade or one or above or below or really close to it. How many students in the audience have all their classes jam-packed with assignments and homework, and you love to do more work in your free time? One. So not many of you. So while I would have loved to have made this an optional thing and have it be a fun free write, that wasn't going to get me the numbers that I needed. I couldn't have 10 kids who were willing to do it to try and hand out to 500 secondary students of the future. So I really didn't have a choice but to make it an assignment. So what I did is I made my own activity, I created a grading rubric for it, and I collected all the standards that matched with each grade so that when I presented it to the English department, it was going to be little to no inconvenience to their classes and they'd be willing to help me out with it. I even offered to grade them all myself, which I did do, so that they had as little work as possible. Of course, our teachers are amazing and they agreed to help me out with this. So what I did was I separated the letters into 5 paragraphs. The first is introducing themselves, giving the kids a little chance to know who it is they're talking to. The second paragraph is talking about the years of 2015-2016 and giving them a sort of a time reference to compare it to. A lot of kids in their letters wrote about the presidential debates or the dance moves or our movies or even really big newsworthy events in other countries. So they had a lot of fun working with that. The next paragraph was how EKA is this year. I've been going here for 4 years, and not one year has been like the other. It changes every year, no matter what. So I can only imagine what the school is going to look like 10 years from now. So I felt like that was really important for the students to know what it is to be an EKA student this year. The tips and encouragement paragraph was huge, because knowing what I do now, I know that there were a lot of things I wish I would have known when I first came here that I ended up having to learn the hard way because I didn't know. So I wanted future students to receive those little bits of advice and encouragement to sort of go into their school year a little bit more confident that they can be successful, whether they've been here for 1 year and they're new, or they've been here for a couple years. The predictions paragraph was probably one of my favorite paragraphs to read, because on one hand, it was really, really nice to see kids want to see change in the world where it was needed, and I thought that was really great. And for the other side of it, it always put a smile on my face to see people making predictions that were just way out there and really creative, but they were hilarious, and I think that the future students are going to have fun with that as well. And then I also left a last paragraph as an extra. I really wanted these letters to have a little bit of freedom so that the kids can have fun with it and sort of make it their own. So they were able to put in things that weren't going to be met in the other paragraphs, while the letters still met the focuses that I was trying to achieve. The seniors had a slightly tweaked one. It was the same letter, but all the questions were primarily focused on the senior project. So what these letters did is not only help future students with tips and advice and encouragement, but the present students got a chance as they were writing it to sort of realize what they have to be thankful for here at EKA and realize that. And so I feel like they got to leave their mark by possibly changing a future student's outlook, which I hope sunk in and made all of you guys really happy to feel like you made a difference. And I feel like you guys also had a lot of fun doing it. Originally, elementary was not going to be a part of my project simply because I didn't want to accidentally bite off more than I could chew. But at my first senior check-in, it was extremely encouraged by all the staff and students that they wanted me to include them in that. So when I sort of thought about what it was I was handling at the time and how far I had already gotten, I realized that I was going to take that on. And so I ended up starting right away making assignments for them. So when you think about it, if a 9-year-old gets a letter from another 9-year-old, it doesn't make a huge impact. Most likely, it's going to go into the bottom of their Spider-Man or Hello Kitty backpack and never seen again, like most of the papers that get handed out to them. But what was going to make a difference is if a teenager like us gets a letter that we wrote 10 years ago. And so that's what I ended up doing. I made 3 assignments. All of the grades, K through 5, drew pictures of what they thought they were going to look like 10 years from now. And I went into their classes and I told them how old they were going to be, 17, 18, what grade they were going to be in. And when I asked them to draw a picture, those answers ranged from having full-on facial hair and a huge beard to being a successful businessman in a suit. In the bottom right hand, in her specific words on the screen, it says, "So many dollars, got so rich, I wish I was rich at 18 too." And the last one, even fighting alongside the Ninja Turtles. Whatever it was, I think that the kids had so much fun learning what a time capsule was, and they also got to think about their futures, and they had a blast with it. Kindergarten and first only did the drawing. Second and third drew the drawing, and then on the back wrote a paragraph to themselves about who they are and what they like and things like that. And then fourth and fifth, I had them do 3 paragraphs to themselves, talking more about what they want to be, what college they want to go to, and sort of get them started thinking about things like that. So all those letters are sealed inside envelopes with their name, their grade, and their advisor, so that if they stay here at EK through the entire 10 years or they come back for the reopening, they're going to receive that letter back and sort of see what their 10-year-old mind was doing. So after forcing the kids to do an assignment for my project, which is horrible of me to do in a school, I know, I decided to try and incorporate something fun that the kids could sort of get involved in. And so what I did is I brought some survey questions to Miss Matson, and she helped me figure out how to set one up using SurveyMonkey, which we use for our silly awards and all the surveys that we take throughout the year. We sent that out to the kids with open-ended, and they gave us all their answers, and I combed through every question and every answer, and I pulled out the top ones from each question, and then we resent it so that we could get percentages, and I was able to print it out and make it all look fancy and nice. I separated the questions into two general sections. The first was general teenager questions, and then EKA questions. On the screen is some example pages of what's inside the time capsule. The general questions were things like what's our favorite pop star, which was Taylor Swift, or what was our favorite movie, which was The Hunger Games, according to our survey. The others were along the lines of our favorite school events, primarily field day, or some other fun things like what teacher is least likely to let us get away with anything, Mr. Webster almost having 50% of that entire vote. At the end of the survey, I sent out the results so that everyone could see what the answers ended up being. Before I started my project, I did a lot of research, and one thing that I found about time capsules is that pictures are huge because people can see firsthand what has changed. And so I wanted to incorporate a lot of pictures into my time capsule because they'd be able to see what has changed in 10 years from our close to our campus. I attended every event possible. If I couldn't, then I arranged for somebody to be able to forward them to me if they were going to it. But I am only one person, and I only see one side of EKA. Everyone has different schedules and different experiences here, and so I wanted the students to share that with me. My focus was documenting the year, not my year. And so I wanted kids to start having fun with that aspect of it and feel like they were an even more part of the time capsule. So what I did was I asked students to please send me all the pictures that you're taking this year of you and your friends and your projects and all that. And I got a whopping number of 0. Nobody sent me anything, and it made me really sad. So then I was like, okay, silly me, kids need motivation. So I started thinking about it, and I was like, what do kids like? They like free things, and they like using their social media. So what I did is I created a competition where kids could send me pictures, and they would be based off of a theme that I set up for each year or each week, which were things like our projects or your friends and things like that. And Miss Salinas, one of our art teachers, gave me the idea to set up an Instagram account and a hashtag lyrics time capsule. And so when the kids submitted those photos to me, they could send it to that account or the school email, which everybody has. And then working with Ms. Chapman, we made a huge prize wheel. I really wanted to catch kids' attention and get them excited and want to turn things in. And so it was a whole lot of trial and error, and it took forever to try and get it to work, but we finally did. It turned out amazing. The kids loved coming up and winning and spinning this huge wheel and winning free things, of course, like free snacks or Starbucks or even some teacher prizes. On the screen are examples of what I was looking for when I was taking pictures. So the things that I wanted to document were the other senior projects. Those are really important. The funny events like teacher-student rivalries, the talent show winners and other school activities and events, the sporting teams and our clubs, and especially our projects because that's exactly what our school is about. And so what I did is I used the money that I earned from our senior chocolate sales as well as an art fundraiser that we held at the beginning of the year to print those pictures out. And because of the unpredictability of technology advancements, I wanted to make sure that those pictures were going to be able to be viewed. I did run out of funds, which wasn't until almost the end of the year, and then I had to put those pictures onto a USB, so I'm really hoping that those will be accessible in 10 years as well. I printed out those photos, and they were arranged into several scrapbooks with labels and dates, and then I also passed them around to the advisories so that the kids could see what it was I was able to capture this year and see what the kids 10 years are going to see. At the beginning of my junior year, I was approached by Miss Matson and asked if I would like to do a mural as part of my senior project. So I ended up taking on 2 senior projects at once, which I do not recommend. Don't do that. It's horrible. But the first thing that led up to that was Mr. Stouth in Building A deciding that we should be the Sea Dragons. It was an idea that everybody really liked. And so I was asked to draw the logo for that, which you can see one of the drafts on the front or on the screen. And so I came up with several drawings, and most of you guys should have seen them on our shirts and some flyers going around and things like that. And everybody was really excited that we didn't have to be the boats anymore. So now that we had this theme, I had some inspiration for the mural. So we scouted a couple walls and we landed on the back cafeteria wall. And Miss Matson sort of just gave me artistic freedom. She said, yes, go, paint. And so that's what I did, and I came up with a roughly scaled drawing that she approved that incorporated both the EKA logo with our boat and also the new mascot. And you can see some of the beginning sketches that I have right there. Miss Matson has known me and my art skills for quite some time, but I don't really think she knew what she was getting herself into. I have been hired to draw logos before by other companies, and I have painted on walls, but I have never taken on something this huge before. So this wall is right in the auditorium, seen every day at lunch, seen at every big event that we hold in here. And I really wanted to prove to her and everyone else that they had trusted me with such a big task. And so I needed help with figuring out how to approach this and figure out how to work with a canvas and materials that were so foreign to me. And so I did some research and I found Miss Yasmin Harper. She's a local artist here in Las Vegas. She has 25 years of experience doing signs on the outside of businesses, doing the windows on the signs, and also doing residential work as well. I emailed her asking her if she'd give me some advice, and she contacted me back right away with times that I could call her. And so I called her for a phone interview, and she gave me so many tips for how to approach this enormous piece. And it really helped me, and I think what the biggest thing that she told me was that it's just paint. And it's something that I love to do, and it's not permanent, and if you ever mess up, all you have to do is paint over it. And I think that is what made it so much easier for me and made me so much more confident going into it. So instead of sitting there freaking out like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna mess it up, everyone's gonna see it, it's really big, I could just paint it and not worry about having to mess up or something like that. And so that really helped me. So please give her a round of applause for everything that she did for me. So this is the wall before it was primed and it was just our normal lunch wall. This mural became my mark on the school. I did write a letter for the time capsule, but this sort of became my personal piece that I could be proud of. And so after several months, 5 tipped over paint buckets, half of my closet ruined by paint stains, and only 1 trip to the nurse for an ice pack because I'm not used to having to dodge rafters while I paint. This is what it became, and you can also look behind you if you want to see it also. Thank you. This mural was a lot of fun. It was very stressful and tiring, and I'm sorry, Mr. Webster, it gets boring when you paint with the same shade of blue day after day. But I am extremely proud of my work and so absolutely amazed I was given this opportunity and to display my work in such a grand manner and given that compliment as an artist. And so I really hope that you guys enjoy seeing that now during your lunch breaks. And you can see it more close up. There's the boat and the dragon. When I started this project, all I had in mind were the letters, the pictures, and the survey. And over the year, it just grew and grew and grew. So when EKA opens the time capsule, they're going to find yearbooks from both secondary and elementary, personally donated by Ms. Matson, the student planner handed out in the beginning of the year, the letters that were written by secondary, the drawings and letters from elementary, and the survey results. Attached to the survey was a small fact sheet that I threw together that had things in it that you won't necessarily see in the planner. There were 3 scrapbooks of photos, a scrapbook specifically of senior projects and other activities we did outside of school, the USB of extra pictures, letters from a few teachers who wrote things to themselves in 10 years or also to the school in 10 years. I really wanted them to participate also and feel like they were a part of it because the teachers are really important to the school. And I also had the Ms. Parrish and Mr. Lujan have the sports teams sign in the balls of their sport for me because I thought that was going to be really cool to have the sports teams incorporated in there. And they also donated some medals and some trophies to me as well. And lastly, each advisory was allowed to put an item inside that represented their class, and I got things from toys to collages to posters, and I even got an inflatable pool toy. So I think that they had a lot of fun coming up with this and trying to figure out what they wanted to have seen in there. So this is what is inside the time capsule. It's everything inside. The time capsule is being displayed in the entrance to Building C when you came in, and it has a plaque above it that I dremeled so that they know what it is, and on the back of that plaque are directions for how to open it. It has all my contact information so that we can make it a really big event, invite people back, and see what a difference has been made in 10 years. My project was in no way flawless, but there was plenty of good and bad. You will not believe the amount of senior projects I have watched over the years where kids are literally begging you, please do not procrastinate during your senior project. I actually listened to that at the beginning of the year, and it made all the difference because I didn't waste any time getting things started and getting it rolling, and once you sort of get it started, it's a lot easier to keep going with it, and that helped my project a lot. I really loved that I was able to make my project bigger. It's always disappointing when you have to cut things out, but I was able to add to mine, and I thought that was phenomenal. I was really happy with the percentage of outside participation I was able to get. I feel like I achieved my desire of giving the kids a chance to be a part of its contents, and I loved that the kids enjoyed being a part of the different things that went inside. The whole project was a huge opportunity to me, especially with the mural. It was new, it was big, and it was intimidating, but I get to say that my work is on our shirts, and it's a logo, and I tackled this huge wall mural. So I can really say that I'm proud of those things, and I wouldn't have been given that opportunity had I gone to any other school. Lastly, I preserved memories. I have had a wonderful year, and I thought that it was a great year to document. And so this year is preserved inside that box, and it doesn't die with me or any of the other kids that made it what it is this year. So in 10 years, I'm going to be able to share all those memories that are inside that box, and I'm going to be really excited to do that. But I did have my fair share of bumps and disappointments. My time was extremely limited for painting, especially since it's such a massive space and I have my own grades and classes to attend to. So I had to do a lot of cramming, which was really unfortunate. I really am only one person and I took thousands of photos, but I really wish that I would have been able to get more out of the kids. I wanted to get pictures from classes I don't take and kids that I don't know, and I'm not 100% sure that I may have hit that mark perfectly. I did run out of funds, which isn't necessarily bad, but I am really hoping that the last 8 weeks of school or so aren't going to go to waste because they can't view them. While I was ecstatic that I had the opportunity to work with elementary and get them involved, I wasn't able to photograph them at all, which was really unfortunate because the kids are really important to this school too and make it what it is, but I just couldn't do everything, unfortunately. And a reoccurring snag that I hit with my project is that I had to rely on others a lot, which was sort of the point of my project, but it made scheduling really hard for me because each little thing has a different due date and this person needs an extension, and so it put a lot of stress on me trying to make sure that I was getting everything in on time. And overall, there are things in the cons column, but I feel like everything in the pros really overwhelms anything that I see in the cons, and I really like to focus on what I have achieved through this and a lot of the accomplishments that I made. My final thoughts is that this was an idea that I had since freshman year. I've always been excited to do my senior project, so when you think so long about just the end result, it's really amazing as a senior when you're up here and you have that result and it's even bigger than you thought, and you also have that experience of going through all that work and knowing how much effort you put into it and then seeing it there. It was a huge artistic opportunity for me. I feel like I've really grown as an artist and been able to work with things I've never worked with before and figure out the problems and work them out and be able to do that, and I thought that was amazing. And I really did have so much fun with both aspects of my project, which is huge for your senior project because when you love something and you want to see it achieve, it makes it so much easier when you have to go in and put the work towards it. And so I had a lot of fun doing everything, and that made this year really easy for me. And the last thing that I'd like to point out to you guys is that you guys have a lot of freedom at this school. Most of you have seen me and Brittany Patrick do the Poetry Slam our sophomore and junior year, and then Leah took it over our senior year. But I want you guys to realize that that was just an advisory project. And we did it because we thought it would be fun, and we went all out with it. And every project you guys do can be that big. It can be as big as the end result of your senior project. So I hope that you guys take advantage of that fact and realize that you really can do a lot of the things you want to do at this school. I owe huge thanks because a senior project is never done alone. No matter what you want to do, there's always someone here at EKA who wants to help you make it better. So the letters to future students were so essential to my project. So had the English teachers not been so willing to help me, this project would not have been what I wanted to achieve with it. So I owe them a ton. Same with the elementary advisors who took time out of their busy schedules to let me come in and do these activities with their students. Ms. Matson allowed me to explore my artistic abilities and really push myself, and she was there for every step of the way to help me with both sides and really help me with any step that I asked of her. So I owe her a huge round of applause for her. Ms. Chapman was quite literally a maniac with helping me this year. Not only did she help me with the fundraiser, helped me build that huge prize wheel, lent me a bunch of materials for the mural, but I basically had to kick her off of me each day telling her, yes, Ms. Chapman, you did everything you could possibly do. There's nothing more I could ask of you. So I could never repay her for her kindness either. Mr. Valencia, Mr. Jesus, was quite literally my savior with this mural this year. He was the one who went and got all the paint that I needed, the colors that I asked for. He's the one who went and purchased the scaffolding for me that not only made it way faster for me, but also a lot safer. And he spent the better part of the year quite literally watching paint dry for me because he had to stop all of his work to watch me in case I fell. So I owe him huge thanks because even though he kept himself entertained by teasing me, he was there and it wouldn't have gotten done without him. And of course, behind every great senior is an even greater advisor. Miss T was there for every good day, every slow day, and every on the verge of a mental breakdown day. So she was always willing to give me advice and some ideas to help me in any way I asked. So she deserves huge thanks as well. So applause for all those people. I really do need to bring some attention to some people who are kind of behind the scenes really helping make this project a success as well. The office staff in both buildings were constantly getting letters back to me from Building A, and I really appreciate them for that. Ms. Hope and Ms. Lori were so helpful with getting me pictures and answering email questions all year long. And without them, a lot of things wouldn't have gotten documented, and I would have been a lot more confused. Ms. Kyer was really huge because she completely worked out my schedule to where I could paint every third period. And had I not gotten that time, the mural would not have gotten done. So because she was able to work with me on that and help me with that, I really owe her a ton. All the teachers at my first senior check-in, I really thank you for encouraging me to take that extra step in including elementary, because I was intimidated by that, but you pushed me through it, and it really added this new side to the time capsule that wouldn't have been seen had I not done that. And lastly, this whole project was made on the memories made by every student here at EKA. Thank you for every letter that you guys did, every survey answer, every picture, every compliment I've gotten from each and every one of you saying that you love this project and love what it's about. I really did this project for you, and I only hope that it made as much of an impact on you as it did for me. I'll see you guys in 10 years.